Go. Hi TPE, you are with Kid Cardiff here, BennWarrington. I'm looking forward to bringing you a new video series, which is going to be a review of my Scoop 2K bounty tournament. I've made a pretty deep run, and I think it's going to be a really good tournament to review. A lot of interesting spots, and obviously very recent. I've got with me today a little special guest appearance for a good friend of mine who I've been talking a lot about poker with over the last year. He's a pretty good player. He's a TPE member. It's called Ashley DeLang, Element _ZA online. Say what's up, Ash.
Hey.
So this is going to be your first time sort of making a video for TPE, right?
Yep.
Well, actually, it's going to be the second time because we already did this video, but the audio wasn't quite good enough the first time round, so we're going to have to do it again, which sounds about right. Ash is from South Africa. Tell us a bit about poker in South Africa, mate.
Well, generally the community is really small, and I'd say that online poker in general is kind of dying in South Africa, so there's not many good players. There are a select few that have done really well overseas, and probably about 5 or 6 players on stores that are doing really well in MTTs and cash, but that's about it. So it's a very, very tiny community of players.
Yeah. So what about, I mean, how do you think you can promote poker in South Africa? I mean, I think it's a good question because obviously now there's quite a lack of fish online sometimes. There's just such a high percentage of regs. There's not many new players. How's Ashley DeLang going to promote poker in South Africa, huh?
It's quite a tough question, bro.
Maybe make a few training videos and stuff, and you know, this is a good start anyway.
I think the problem with poker being a dying breed in South Africa is obviously the legalities in this country involving online poker, and people are kind of uncertain whether or not they can play online poker. So one sites in South Africa already closed down because of issues. So I think people are kind of scared to get involved in poker in this country in general. So the people that were doing really well at poker and became successful kind of branched out and found other ways of carrying on their hobby, while many of the intermediate to bad players decided that it wasn't worth the hassle, so they kind of just left the game all together, you know?
Yeah. Okay, it's interesting. Well, you know, I hope to see a little mini South African boom after this video series. So should we get started then? The first hand we have up is Pocket Kings. Yeah, when you generally start a tournament with Pocket Kings, you're always going to make the final table, you know, first time. So 60, this is a bounty then, so this tournament is 1,000 plus a 1,000 bounty. So, I mean, right at the beginning of this tournament, the bounty value is so high, and I think as you go deeper in and the pay jumps become bigger, then the bounty becomes a much less incentive. But right now the bounty is a really important aspect of this tournament. We make it 60, we get a call from the big blind. 4, 3, 8, obviously just a clear C bet, but you know, the key thing here is that if we have just a pot of 130, our C bet needs to be near enough pot size bet, just, you know, to try and get that value.
At least guarantee one street.
Well, the thing is, one street, if it's different, one street of 80 chips isn't really going to do me anything. You know, it's not really going to do much to my stack at all. So what I want to do is just try and build that pot, and maybe, you know, if I can get that pot by like 600 or 700 by the river, maybe I can put a pot size bet on the river and really get a lot of value there from the hand that way. So a check call, and I think, well, a lot of the hands that he check calls with aren't really going to like this turn very much. You know, maybe all the pocket pairs and 8x hands, draws. I don't think there's too many Queen X in his range there, is there? I mean, so it's almost a bad turn to barrel. But the problem is, we've got to go for it and try and build that pot, and just, the best we can hope for is he's got like Queen Jack of Diamonds, or, maybe a Ace 8 that he's not ready to fold yet, or he just thinks I'm barreling this card.
I still think he calls Ace 8 on the turn, and I just think he kind of just fishes on the flop because it's early stages, kind of hits the really wide range on the big blind. It's just,
definitely. I mean, I guess I was saying that the best that we could hope for is he had like Ace 8 hand, and he's going to continue. Because, I mean, I think and a lot of other hands are just folding really on the turn there, which is a bit annoying. Maybe if the turn was like a king, no, like a 3 or something, then we might have been able to get a bit more value from him. 7-6 of diamonds is the next hand I have up, just a few hands later. This is definitely a hand that we're going to be calling with pre-flop, do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at this stage of the tournament, it's obviously very standard. 50 to call, 240 then. Do you think we still go ahead and see a flop here?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's early stages. I mean, I'm a fish in general, but I think it's okay to call. I think your hand can flop really well, and I think that you can end up getting a lot of chips in these types of situations.
I think because we're 5k starting stack, I think that it's definitely better to go ahead and rather than 3k. If we're a 3k here, I wouldn't really be investing that many chips. But I think the extra 2k there, and the fact that it is a bounty, and the fact that we have him covered against someone called Hassan, who probably from Lebanon, and I don't think he's a bad player actually, but he was obviously a spot in a 2k tournament. So we do call, and that's a pretty good flop. So the 7-6, we flopped a pretty good hand for a pretty good flop for our hand then, haven't we? Really, with 2 diamonds, and we're definitely going to be. Not looking to get it in here, but we're definitely going to be check calling or whatever. So we'd expect to see bet on this a lot of the time. When he checks back here on the flop, it goes check check. What sort of hands do you think he's checking back?
I mean, he could definitely have pairs. He could have under pairs, sure. I mean,
but I don't think he's ever going to have 3-betting under pairs there. So let's look at his hand range pre-flop is pretty strong, I think, with his 3-bet there. I don't expect someone at 10-20 blinds going to 3-bet there, without a really, really strong hand, especially who's not like a super reg or a reg. So
I think that's just like 8s there, or if he has.
But he's not 3-betting 8s there, is he? Against an under the gun open and a call, he's not 3-betting 8s. He's just going to call and set mine. So his hand range is really like 10s plus, 10s plus, and then ace queen, ace king. So I think that when he checks back here on this flop, he's going to have here queens, ace king, and aces a lot of the time. So those are the 3 hands that I think he's probably going to have.
It's aces on this flop?
Yeah, I think he checks aces because he doesn't want to get check raised. I mean, like I could easily have flopped the set. I mean, maybe not flop the set because I just called pre, but I could, it's a scary board for aces. And a lot of players at this stage check back because they want to get value on a later street, keep the pot small. There are quite a few hands there that beat aces.
I mean, like, the only problem is, like, when we break down his range is the fact that I feel that he's going to be betting a lot of his Broadway connectors on the flop for value.
But what Broadway connectors does he have, Ash?
Pardon?
What Broadway connectors does he have?
He has ace queen. I think he has.
Well,
ace
yeah, of
king.
course he's betting ace queen and ace king. I mean, of course he's betting ace queen. So when he checks back, what isn't he betting? I think ace king, aces, and queens. I think are the 3 hands. I just think that's very, very. I just think that's straightforward. Like, I don't think it can be anything else.
Yeah.
So that obviously changes the hand a lot. And when he c-bets, then, I mean, obviously he can be c-betting ace king, he can be c-betting his queens, he can be c-betting his aces. But I think we see those hands checked back a lot more of the time nowadays. So when the turn's a king, we just finish with the hand. I mean, I just, if he bets here, goes check. Now he puts in a delayed C bet, and I think a lot of the time he's going to have ace king here, and aces, queens, those three hands in particular, and just decided to try and get value from a later street in the hand. A lot of players don't even 3-bet ace queen at this stage, so I would imagine that it's going to be, a really nutted hand, and we saw a good flop. If the turn, if maybe the turn had been a diamond, obviously I think we could have made some chips, but at this stage, there's absolutely no point in continuing with the hand. We're not getting the right odds to see a diamond, and a lot of our diamonds may give him boats. So, and if a diamond does come, I don't see us getting a huge amount of value from it. So it's just a very easy fold on the turn there, I think. I think that was a pretty straightforward hand. Yep. So once again, opening here on the button with 7-8, get called in 2 spots. Do you like c betting here or just checking?
Or we just check?
Yeah, I think checking is definitely better because there are so many hands that keep calling us now. Any ace X isn't going to fold to a bet. Any king or queen of clubs isn't going to fold to a bet. Maybe even if he's got a 10 in a club, he's not folding to a bet. And there's 2 players in the pot. There's not much incentive to c-bet. The pot's only 180. So I think if we're betting here, we're not going to be showing a profit on our c-bet enough of the time. Obviously, we haven't got any equity in the hand. So it's just a fairly standard check. At 8 now, he bets 60. Oh, it's just so tempting to come along and see, isn't it, really? Sometimes I might call here, and if he checks the river, maybe put a big bet out if it's a scare card, or once it goes there, I think.
As a fucking 10, yes.
Well, I think he just maybe an ace, trying to get weak value from an ace, but especially just calling pre-flop here, a lot of ace X hands in the small blind. But I think now we just got to fold really that 100 bet on the river, and yeah, not the most interesting hand. I guess the bad thing now is that we're at 4-6-4-0 and we haven't got these guys covered. So let's try and win a nice little pot. Open again on the button, 7s, call in 1 spot, check. I like c betting or checking here really. I think checking's okay. Not going to get value from much there on that board. Check, delayed c bet now and a call, and I think we could go ahead and try and get value here. Maybe he's going to have ace 4, ace 5, or an ace high hand. We did bet again, and he folds. So I think we just always had the best hand there.
Yeah.
It was quite a slow beginning to the tournament. As you can see, there's a huge gap of hands where I just didn't play anything, which is obviously going to be normal in this group's such a good structured deep stack tournament that I think that's fine. I remember I was playing day 2 of the 1K as well, and my focus was a lot in that. So a min raise from Daffy Duck. Do we think players at this stage 2040? I mean, we've really got to look out for if this guy's 3xing ever. I can imagine he might actually 3x at this stage with aces and strong hands. Do you have a 3-bet there?
I mean, the problem is that I think that the subject of 3-betting ace queen from this position is very torn. I think some players really like it, and I think some players think it's spewy on early blinds. I know guys like Sam Trickett's prefer to 3-bets ace queen on early blinds from even early opens, but I think that calling is fine. I don't think that.
So what do you think the merits are for 3-betting?
Obviously, you're taking initiative in the pot. I mean, you're taking initiative in the pot, and also you're repping a really strong range, obviously setting yourself up to win the pot more often than lose it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You're repping a strong range. Let's say when it comes to dry flop, but also you're kind of repping that ace king, ace queen hands as well. So I think that your hand looks strong, and then when you do connect, it may actually be tough to get value. So I think calling is okay. I think we can maybe. There are some benefits of having the blinds in. There are some benefits of not having the blinds in. Obviously, we can get value from weaker hands there, but we're also letting them in to maybe make it, maybe to cooler us as well. So it's definitely a difficult one. Go on, check, and I think
well, because you kind of thought that your stack was going down and down, and you kind of just wanted to.
Yeah, I guess when you're on the rise, maybe you've got more momentum and you feel more confident 3-betting those sorts of hands. I wouldn't be worried about 3-bet folding right now because no one's really going to 4-bet against you, like cold 4-bet against you, or cold 4-bet, and when the blinds are so small and you haven't really been out of line or whatever. So I'm never worried about 3-betting, and I'm getting 4-bet at this particular stage of the tournament. Checks to me. I think we can take a stab here. I mean, once Daffy Duck checks, I think that it's a good spot to go ahead and take a stab. Oh, we checked. Okay, we just turned it. Maybe with 4 players, three of the players in the pot, we thought we might not be able to get them to fold. Interesting what he's checking here. If he's checking here hands like King Queen or King Jack, and not c-betting those hands, just maybe he's thinking I'm going to c-bet everything that gets checked to me, or it's going to be like the type of spot where if he checks here with King X, I'm not going to respect any of his c-bets in the future, because he's not even a c-betting top pair. Anyway, check. Obviously we've got a bet now. Try and get something out of the hand. And we couldn't, unfortunately. No one had anything. So I think maybe Daffy Duck's checking range then is going to be more of a weaker range than rather than a sort of showdown value range. You know what I mean? Yeah. Top pair. A lot of players just check top pair. Once again, open ace-8 suited from under the gun. I think it's okay to do it when we're this deep stacked. 100 bigs. And try and get something going, really. Pretty big c-bet, which I'll generally do with my strong hands there as well. Fisherman's call from early position. He should have a hand a lot of the time. Call 6 on the turn. I think you made it like an interesting point about this hand when we actually reviewed it the first time around. On the turn now, whether to keep going on this turn or whether just to check. What do you reckon?
I mean, personally, I feel you get yourself into a really strange position there when you bet and he calls again or even raises. Obviously, him calling the flop is already something we need to take into account. It's not. You can't give him too much credit because he is a reg, and most regs float the flop almost with like 80% frequency. But obviously, getting around to the turn is where I feel that a lot of the time he can take pot away from you. Obviously, if he's not giving you an overpair or if he's not giving you the top of your range, then a lot of the time I feel like because we have a straight draw on the turn and because we have some sort of equity in the hand. We really don't want to see a raise on this turn.
But I don't think he's really going to raise us. I don't see him raising too many hands here, because I feel like he's calling from early position. I don't think he's going to have a 7 in his range like that much. I think he's more going to have like pocket pairs and flush draws. So I think he's got more of a calling down sort of hand. And I can't see him really raising here, especially as a bluff. I think the only hands he might raise on the turn is like pocket 5s and pocket 7s and pocket 6s. So we're drawing dead to those hands anyway.
I don't think that betting the turn is bad. I think that in essence you are repping a really strong hand, obviously two barreling. I just feel like a lot of the time, especially with that type of turn, that he's probably going to call again at least. If he's calling turn, I think that a lot of the time he's going to be calling river, which means that it's going to put you in kind of a precarious position on the river.
I agree. I mean, I think that if we go ahead and bet turn, we've pretty much got to bet the river. But we've got to try and make it look value-y as well. Like, so it's going to be tough because by making it value-y, we're going to give him a good price. So let's say we make it like 400 on the turn and then like 800 on the river. It's going to be, he's just going to see the missed diamonds there and think, well, he could have been barreling diamonds or he could just be bluffing. So that's why it's a difficult 3-barrel to get through. Even though we pick up equity or more equity on the turn now, there are too many hands that call us on that call flop that aren't now folding turn. So it becomes a little bit difficult. So what did I do in the end? We did put a big old bet in there, and just trying to look like we're trying to protect our hand. Maybe here we could have like aces or kings, and just look like we're trying to get, protect our hand from a flush draw and stuff. And the bet did go through. I'm not sure that I love it, but it worked that time.
I don't think that it's bad.
I think the key thing is if you are going to bet, you've got to. I think we've got to bet big here and look like we have got aces or kings and that we're really trying to protect our hand and get max value from it.
I don't think that checking is necessarily good either, because when you check turn as well, I think you can eliminate a lot of your range when you check turn. But I do feel like obviously betting kind of keeps the story going. You opened early. You're repping some sort of a decent hand that you're kind of saying you're not folding.
Yeah.
So I really don't think it's too bad. I just kind of worry about what do we do when he calls.
Yeah, it's true. It's tough. We have to keep going and yeah. Next time we're looking at then is ace 10. Open here, I think is fine. I mean, I'm not opening in the first two spots, so I think it's definitely a good. When you're raising from UTG +2 and UTG +3, there are more hands in that opening range. So I'm definitely going to be tackling those spots to 3-bet light, because I think you're going to include more hands like ace 10 off and like 9-8 suited, whereas you might be folding those sort of hands from the first two positions. But you're still not in mid or late position quite yet. I guess it's sort of mid position, but you're still going to be acting like you're opening from early position, and that people probably won't be 3-betting you as light from like as if you're opening, let's say, the cutoff or the button. So we get called by status up, 10 high flop. Good for us. We put in a smaller size C bet just to try and get value from some worse hands, maybe some floats. We get a call. The turn is an 8. It's quite ugly because, but I think we can just bet fold here. I think we can still get value from worse 10s. Now hands like 7-9 and 8-9 and are still going to keep calling. So I think we still got to keep betting here. I think checking is bad now because we give him the chance to sort of take control of the pot, and now we're kind of playing a bit of a guessing game, really. Check call and a 9 on the river obviously is not a good card for us at all, and we've got to go ahead and check fold now. There's too many hands that are beating us. So I think the mistake we might have made in the hand is actually sort of checking the turn to him. I think we probably should have bet the turn to him, and it could be a good card for him to bluff us or raise us, but I think he's going to be floating more often than sort of raising us and as a bluff. So yeah, I guess on blank rivers we've got to keep calling, but I just generally prefer betting the turn. Really, what do you think? So we have to go ahead and fold that nasty river. Another bad hand there. Call. I think we can just about call okay here, but playing out of position it's going to be against 3 opponents is never good. So I wouldn't mind folding as well. Particularly when this sort of flop comes and you're just like, oh, Well, I flopped my top pair. I mean, you're probably going to win a small pot or lose a big one.
Definitely.
Check, check. So I think JW Prodigy is a good reg. He's going to be c-betting most of his hands here. And I think we've got to go ahead and at least call a c-bet. So we did. The turn's an 8. And I would imagine that he's going to be barreling this turn as well a lot of the time. But it just puts me in a very difficult spot now. I'm like, right, in my head, I'm only beating a bluff. You know, it's probably a good reason why we probably should have folded this hand pre-flop. But as played now, I think we're going to go ahead and fold the turn because we're probably going to face a big bet on the river, and we're not even ahead. You know, it's not the best card in the world to bluff against a small blind's range, is it really? I think if you'd have stabbed like a king turn or a queen turn or an ace turn, maybe we could go ahead and keep check calling and because those are good cards to barrel. But I don't think this is a great card for him to barrel as a bluff. It's a tough one. It's just a tough, horrible spot against a good player that we should probably be avoiding these sorts of tournaments. So we thought he was bluffing enough of the time here on the turn. And the river just goes check, check, and he had 6-5. So it was I think it was a badly played hand. I think we should have just folded pre and avoided the headache. And as played, probably just folded the turn, really.
Yeah, probably should just fold the turn.
120 then, the min raise. Cool. We're happy to play his hand in position. You know, 140, kind of a small c-bet there. I just decided, you know what, like I've got the ace of hearts. If I had ace 10 of hearts, I'm happy to get in here. So, boom, we make it 390. We could have sets here. We could have maybe like flatting a bigger hand. So I think that by raising here, you know, we can go ahead and if he does go ahead and call, then we're actually we should be able to barrel him off to a lot of turns and rivers.
Sorry, which hand are you on, bro?
Sorry, I'm on the very next hand, ace 10.
Ace of hearts, 10 of spades.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we're on the flop now, and he's c-bet and I've raised.
Yeah.
And he's called. The turn is a king. And we could also have hands like king jack of hearts, king queen of hearts, and 2 others and a flush draw, and looking to get it in. So I don't think it's the worst card here, and I think, you know, if we can go like make it look like we're trying to now get some value from our, you know, maybe stack. If we're looking to stack him, what possible hands can we have in our range that we're looking to stack him with? I think if we had a flop to set here, we need to keep going big because there's 2 flush draws and stuff, and we need to protect our hand and try and get some value. And if we do have, let's say, like 2 overs and a flush draw with a king X of hearts, then we still will get value from this hand. So I think by betting, we can go ahead and rep quite a lot of different hand combinations. 660, so if he calls, we're looking at about pot-size bet left on the river, which I think works out quite nicely. And he goes ahead and does fold. I don't think it was like an amazing spot to turn a hand to a bluff, but I did like it, the fact we had the ace of hearts, and just kind of imagine how I might play here a flush draw, and now, you know, we put him to the tricky decision.
What range are you giving him in this hand?
What range am I giving him? Well, he's open from late position and put a small c-bet in, so I was pretty happy to go ahead and try and get him off the hand. And I thought we've got 3 chances here, either on the flop, the turn, or the river, and if we decided if we needed to take that route, and we do have a nut blocker to the nut flush draw. So so I think he had wide enough range there that I was happy to make him, happy enough that I thought he was going to fold a high enough percentage. It's quite hard to narrow down his sort of range, but I guess the key thing is I can't see many King X hands in his range. He's not gonna bet call the flop with many King X hands in his range, is he? So that king shouldn't be a good turn for him.
Yeah.
So we're on to the next hand, Ace Queen offsuit now. Once again, the guy opens. I think maybe in a bounty tournament, maybe I could have 3-bet here. That probably seems like a mistake. Probably should have got his chips. And he went 4-way to a flop, and it's just terrible. Problem is now he's bet small. We've got to continue, and the big blind decided to take the pot down, which was just a fundamental error. I think we should have played for stacks there pre-flop against him, and especially in a bounty situation. I
think you should have 3-bet pre, bro.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, 3-betting pre there is definitely the right move in a bounty. Pocket sevens then, so we make it 2.2x, I think it is, 2.25x. This was definitely just a fold pre-flop. For 300 more, I don't think we're going to see a good enough flop enough at the time. And sometimes when we do hit our set, he might not even pay us. So I think it's just a fairly easy fold. Didn't happen though. We decided to call on flop a set because we knew the 7 was coming. So yeah, I think folding there pre-flop is definitely the right move. Check then 560, and he just folds a turn. So didn't manage to get any value from our flop set. Not a very nice hand.
That's just beauty.
Yeah. So pocket jacks, I guess we're trying to get chips in this tournament so that we start covering people really. And maybe that might have been my idea, or maybe we thought he was trying to put pressure on us to get our bounty, and we were just going to check shove a lot of flops. Not really sure. Anyway, we open the pocket jacks, and Flower Boy in the big blind makes it 665. So I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to pile here and hopefully win the flip or get him to call with a worse hand. And he folds, which is bizarre. I mean, I wasn't even that happy about shoving jacks pre, but didn't really see too much of a choice then. And I found it quite bizarre that he folded to me then when he made a 3-bet from the big blind.
I don't know how we can fold it. I have no idea.
Yeah. So same again with tens, and we get a 3-bet now on the button. I think this is a really good spot just to call, because I would imagine he's 3-betting quite wide, and I think that we can just let him keep barreling really. Our hand is going to be near the top of our range of what we're actually calling and seeing a flop with. And playing out of position, I think it's always the most difficult when you're deep stacked and when you're against many different players. We were against one player and we're 40 big blinds deep, so sometimes actually being out of position can actually be advantageous, because we get to see what he does. We're pretty much checking 100% of the time here. We're not 100%. Okay, there may be some situations where we don't bet, but that's getting creative. What we get to see now is we get to see whether he c-bets or not. And that's pretty pivotal, because a lot of players are going to be giving away the strength of their hand on what particular flops they c-bet with and what they don't. Often, there may be some flops where a player is going to be c-betting very, very few value hands and mainly bluffs, and vice versa. So that is definitely a good flop for our hand. Checks 519. Do we just give him the pile here? Do we raise call, or do we just call and let him keep bluffing? It's a tough one, isn't it?
I'm shoving flop.
You just shoving? What do you think about making it like 1200 and calling a shove?
I'm just shoving it.
Just shoving? I think that might have been what I did. We just shoved, and we got called. Oh. This is a close your eyes time right now, and just hope that a little message doesn't come up saying you have been finished in position 1011. Somehow we held and won a pretty big pot, and that was brilliant because we're now well around the average or a bit over, and we've now got most of the a lot of the players covered or close to. We can take a few more risks with our stack, and it definitely set the benchmark for our tournament. Hey, you've got to win flips in tournaments, right? So the next hand we have Ace King of Spades. Great hand to be opening here. We even don't mind getting 3-bet, and once again, I think if we get 3-bet here, like obviously depending on who, but we could easily just defend and and play a pot there. With near the top of our range, and we're not going to be folding to too many flops. Oh yeah, this was a tricky hand. I remember we've already reviewed it, of course, but the flop went check. Do you think we could have just c-bet there?
Yeah, I think a c-bet's not bad.
I think maybe we could have just c-bet. I mean, even though there are a lot of hands he continue with, he's going to be defending the big blind with a lot of hands, and the problem I have now is that he's just going to keep he's just going to think I've got ace king or ace high and just start barreling most turns. So 6 there, and he just bets, and it's like, oh.
Having a hand like this, and not betting the flop, you kind of obviously have a really good hand. You're kind of not taking any initiative whatsoever.
Well, it didn't have to be a good hand. I mean, I could be checking back here with like. Well, I mean, I guess when we check back, it looks like just showdown value, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it checks bad. I mean, you haven't really got any equity in the hand. You don't really have.
I don't think it's that much about equity, because I think maybe it's more about like what sort of hands connect with this flop, and obviously quite a lot of hands do, but quite a lot of hands will just be folding to a c-bet as well. The problem I have now is that he's betting. He's going to be betting all of his Jack 9, Queen 9, Ace 5, type hands, and we're actually ahead of some of his betting range. So we do call, and the river's a Jack, and he bets again.
Yeah, I think this river I really don't like this river at all. I mean,
but what hands do you think he's betting the turn with and betting river?
Well, I definitely think he's betting turn with draws, even straight draws, maybe a pair and a straight draw possibility, like 5, 6, hands like that, Jack 9 suited, like Jack 10, all hands that he can continue on the turn to maybe bluff river with. I mean, the turn obviously. Yeah,
so let's say he had like King 9. Do you think he's going to be taking the same line with this hand?
No, I don't.
What do you think he's going to do differently?
He probably is checking turn again.
No, you see, I think he's going to bet turn, but I think maybe he's going to bet bigger on the river. So I really feel that the type of, this river bet looks more like thin value, but maybe like Jack 10 or Jack 9 rather than like King 9 or King 10. I think maybe if he had maybe if he was bluffing this river, I think he might bet more like 900, 1,000. And this feels more like maybe like some thin value with top pair or 2 pairs or that. So I feel like we just have to. I think maybe we should just c-bet the flop. But as played, I think now looking at his bet size, it's just a fold, and and we called.
Not happy with this river, dude. I'm just not happy.
Do you think if you bet 900 or 1,000, you might be more willing to call because there are less combinations in his range that he could have for value?
I think that if he had bet more, then I probably would have thought about it longer. But I think that his bet's just screaming for a call.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the time, you know, like as we broke down his range, he's going to be showing.
I think that you know, as played, you could say maybe fold turn or c-bet flop. But as we played it and we got to that river, I think the key about calling the river or not was his sizing, because the more he bets on that board, the less he's representing. So yeah, this was our first bounty of the tournament. It was status up. I think Jason Laval or something. He's a pretty good player. This was actually a hand I wanted to talk about in my recent post-flops theory advanced series that should just be up now. And it was about leading flops. So, as you can probably imagine, we flopped the set, and we're going to lead the flop. What do you think are the benefits? What would you say the benefits are of leading the flop here?
Oh, right. I mean, I think that 80% of rigs always assume that when you're leading flop, you're on a draw.
Yeah, especially when there's two clubs out there, right?
Yeah, and like from what I've seen or from what I've learned in poker, a lot of the time, players do turn over flush draws when they're leading flops like this. So I think
if I've got like Jack 10 here, I would just love to leave this flop because, like, you know, there are a lot. Obviously, you've got good equity in the hand, you can improve, but also, you know, if a club comes, you can just go ahead and rep that flush.
It's just really
rep it.
If you have a flush draw or a straight draw, I mean, you don't need to always check call. You want to take initiative and win the pot. You don't always need to play passively.
I think there are also two very good reasons for leading this flop with our particular hand. Obviously, one, you've said he's going to put us on a draw. He's not going to put on this texture hand. Okay, so maybe there are some hands that he's actually going to be checking back that will call a bet. Maybe he's going to have like ace high hand, and he's just going to put us on a draw and call a bet. Maybe he's going to have an overpair here, or sixes or sevens, and just check back because he doesn't want to get check raised, and go for later values. So one of the benefits of leading is that we actually get value from hands that are going to call us but won't do the betting for us. The second advantage here of leading this flop is that by check raising, we're polarizing our hand to very, very strong hands or bluffs, but at the end of the day, don't think we're going to be bluffing a c-bet too often here. So we're basically polarizing our hands to like sets and straights and maybe like a really strong flush draw, you know. And by leading, I think that we don't narrow down that range so much. We could have a lot more sort of different hands, maybe like 9-7 and Jack 10s and Queen Jacks and flush draws and just a whole world of things really. So we've gone bang. We haven't made it huge. We haven't made it like pot size to try and scare him or something. We just made it like bang. You know, we're just gonna lead. We're just gonna lead at you here. We're gonna fire.
Yeah.
Right. Shot one. Fire. And and we expect to get called quite a lot of the time. I mean, especially against an under the gun range. That's why it's such a good flop. Called, and the turn is an ace. So I think that it's not the best, not the worst turn. He obviously could have improved if he has got a hand like ace 9 or ace 5 under the gun, maybe not. But he could have maybe like ace king, ace queen hands as well. And there shouldn't be that many aces that we have in our hand range, so that we're leading flop with especially. So it does make it a good card to barrel. Once again, if we check, there are just too many hands that are going to check back with showdown value and not do the betting for us, because probably once we check here, it might look like we're check folding too often. So I think now our key has to be that betting more polarized to bluffing. So more like around that 800, 900, that would feel like we're just bluffing. And maybe a smaller bet may look like we're trying to do something, or that we're just trying to get to a river. Which I think another benefit of betting big here is that we've got a pot, we can try and get a pot size bet or close to for the river. So it was 835. I think that was it's all about finding the magic number. I think that was a good magic number. And he does call, and the river then is a 9. It's an interesting card. It just changes the whole texture of the board now. If I've got 7-6, I'm not going to like my hand as much. If I've got a 9, am I really going to be leading the turn? So, and it's a bounty, so I think that this card is gonna narrow down my value range a lot as played. And now if I bet on this river pretty strong, I'm pretty much just repping 9-8, ace-9, and 5s and 8s and 9s. But I don't think he's going to associate me with leading this flop with ace-9. I don't think he's going to really think I'm leading this flop with 5s and 8s. Maybe 9-8 might be the only hand that I'm really leading this flop with that he would imagine. And I think obviously there are so many draws here like Queen-Jack, Jack-10, flush draws. The hands that I am betting this flop with, like 7-6, should make quite a big part of that range. Maybe 9-5 as well. 9-5 has now been counterfeited. So there aren't too many strong hands that I'm going to be... There are just very few value hands that I'm going to be betting this river with, particularly strong. So let's just go ahead and pile it in. You know, firstly, it's just such a what the fuck spot because I shouldn't have a hand there. There are just so few value possibilities I can have a hand with, especially the fact that I'm shoving, because there shouldn't be too many hands you can call with either. You know, and the fact that it's a bounty, it looks like that I should have it as well, because it looks like I'm going for the bounty. So I think that looks more like a convincing bluff to me. And this guy, very good player, but he did tank for, I don't know, like 5 minutes. I don't know how many opinions he got on Skype. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, he did tank for a very, very long time, and I think he's got a call. I'm repping too thin, you know, and he probably doesn't think that I'm quite as thinking player as I am, or you know, I think I think in the past I think I have made a few bluffs against him as well that have run into the top of his range. So I think he probably does have me noted as being capable of bluffing, which made me even more want to just jam this in his face.
I think your story makes sense.
Yeah, and
you're repping a busted flush or something that you don't have an ace, and I don't think he's. I don't think he's giving you a 9 here to offer you a turn. I think that he's pretty much decided you're bluffing more often than not here, basically. It's a really nice pot PV takedown. So
yeah, it's a tough one to. He's not the type to make big hero calls, but I don't think. I just think he's just going to call me down here too often, and it was a really, really interesting hand. I personally, obviously it's results orientated because I did win the hand and he did call, but I like the way I played the hand in general. And from every street, I felt like it was optimal, and
just sizing in the hand was really good, especially your turn bets. It really looked like you were kind of trying to take initiative in the point stall.
I think often, like, you can look at a bet, and it's a lot of the time, like, when people just bet, like, maybe like small to medium sizes on some boards, it just looks like they're trying to get to river, or it just looks like they're trying to stab again, and I guess that's kind of what I tried to portray. But in the end, yeah, we're gonna spoiler. He did call with queens.
No, that call on the river is definitely debatable.
Well, what's the difference of him having queens there or ace king?
I mean, I just feel like that call is quite thin, bro.
But it doesn't matter if he could have deuces there. I mean, not deuces, but he could have, like, you know, his queens there is it's no different to having sevens.
For should. You
No,
know?
actually, having sevens is better because you've actually got two blockers to the straight.
Bro, I totally agree with you with regards to the pair not really making a difference because he's either giving you a bluff, he's giving you a bluff here more often than not. Like, I totally get the concept, but that's quite a hero call, bro. Like, quite a lot of big blinds he called on the river, dude.
Yeah, it's a big hero call, but I don't think he's got much of a choice.
I think it's bad.
As a player, I just don't think he's got much of a choice.
Quite a call that he made there, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's the same hand as him having ace king. The only difference is that I have. The only difference is I have that you have an ace, a blocker to ace nine, but it's not the queen is there. His hand's pretty irrelevant. You know, it's just the fact whether he thinks I'm bluffing or not. And if he thinks I'm bluffing, he's got a call. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to take that sort of line to make a crazy bluff, but not too often anyway. I mean, I have done them, but maybe more in some weaker fields, like in Sunday Mills and overbet the pot as a bluff. But I don't know about a 2K, and especially in a bounty spot where it just looked like I'm repping so thin. Maybe if I'm repping like the world, I might take that as a bluff spot. But when I know it's going to have a high success rate, but I'm just repping so thin there with lead. There are so few hands that I'm betting, like betting flop, betting turn, and betting river with here, that I think he's got a call here with queens, and just scratch his head afterwards and think, well, I got pretty owned. Interesting what would have happened if I think it was also a good river for me because it wasn't a club, it wasn't a 7 or a 6, and I think it made it a little bit easier for him to call. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to finish part 1 here. We're going into part 2 with 14k stack, and I hope you guys enjoy the first part. Back for part 2 in a bit.